Is your internet browser safe? Hello, I'm Terry and this is Web Safety Guru. So, in this week's video I'll be talking about browsers, their safety, privacy and performance. So what is a browser? Quite simply, it's the piece of software we use to view content over the internet. It's quite likely you're using a browser to watch this video right now. Many people will only be aware of the browser that came pre-installed on their computer. If you're using a Microsoft computer, that's likely to be Microsoft Edge, or if you're using an older computer, it will be Internet Explorer. If you're using an Apple product, you will be most likely using Safari as your browser. If you're using a Google operating system, you'll be using Chrome. So now we've established that there are a multitude of different browsers you can use, let's have a look at some of the runners and riders so you can decide which browser is best for you. So when I started web development over 20 years ago, Internet Explorer was practically the only thing available. It was 90% of the market share, and that's pretty much all you needed to worry about when writing code. Along came something called Netscape Navigator, which seems to have disappeared off the face of the earth.
That's a name I've not heard in a long time.
And that was the biggest rival at the time. Come the middle of the 2000s, and the first serious competition started appearing. And that was in the form of Mozilla Firefox. Mozilla Firefox is much faster and a better performer than Internet Explorer, and I've pretty much used it for the last 15 years as my browser of choice. The Safari browser was created for the Apple ecosystem, and three of the other browsers I'll be talking about are Opera, Brave and DuckDuckGo. Microsoft's Internet Explorer was the butt of many jokes in the past, largely down to its poor performance. I have to say that Edge is somewhat of an improvement. As far as safety is concerned, a large proportion of the threats I've come across are aimed either at Chrome or the Microsoft family of browsers, largely because they were the market leaders in their time, and they tend to have more users who are less experienced. The people who don't know about alternative browsers stick to the ones they were given to start with. This does not mean that Chrome or Internet Explorer / Edge are inherently more dangerous or inferior products. They are just the logical target for cyber criminals who go for the low-hanging fruit. As far as Firefox is concerned, the danger isn't the browser as much as the plugins and add-ons you can put into it. These all come from third parties, so you've got to be very careful what you add and where it's come from. It's a good habit to run frequent virus scans. For me, privacy is an even bigger issue than security, and it's pretty clear that this is where Google has a big problem. You'll probably be aware already how much Google tracks you, but if you've got a smartphone with Google on it, you'll get a monthly email from Google Maps telling you everywhere you've been. Now, if you actually sign into a Google account on your devices, you will notice that any favourites or search terms you've put in on one computer will then automatically come up on a different device that you've also signed into. So Google do track you quite extensively. There is something called incognito mode, but as DuckDuckGo are very keen to point out, it's a bit of a myth. DuckDuckGo for me has a huge advantage here. It's a browser for mobile devices and Android, and their unique selling point is that they do not track you. So I think DuckDuckGo is going to become increasingly popular. You'll also see it in extensions in other browsers, as well as the Android services they already offer. While on the subject, a newcomer called Brave has taken a different approach to the problem of tracking. They admit they track you, but they've turned it into a payment model. So Google make their money from tracking you and then advertisers pay them. Brave, they track you, work out what you're interested in, show content based on what they think you're interested in, and then they pay you to view those articles. So you're actually getting paid for being tracked. It's a double-edged sword, I'd rather not be tracked at all. They pay you in something called Basic Attention Token, or BAT. And BAT is a crypto token. All I can say about it really is that there are thousands of crypto tokens, but BAT is one of the more established and higher ranking ones. So you are actually getting something in a currency that's worthwhile, albeit I think you'd have to do a lot of browsing on their Brave browser to actually get an amount of compensation sufficient to justify doing it. If I had to choose one browser to use for the rest of my life, it would be Mozilla Firefox. It's been a good performer for a long time. It doesn't have some of the issues that the big corporations have with their big browsers. And also you can put your own plugins and add-ons in, so you can customize it in ways you like. They're not the worst trackers in the world either compared to some of their competitors. However, for Android, I would be seriously considering moving more into DuckDuckGo as an alternative to Chrome. We'll see what comes out there as well as new options, but DuckDuckGo seems to be a better corporate ethos than Google or the other big tech giants who shamelessly track you, and I think privacy is something to be valued. Of course, the thing is, and I touched on this in a previous video, that you don't have to just use one browser. I think there's a huge argument for using a separate browser for something like Facebook. There's also an argument for using a separate browser for something like your sensitive financial information. Because if you were to get a virus that hit at browser level rather than computer level, then you don't want it nicking all your safe passwords and everything that you might use for your more sensitive activity. One final thought is about VPNs. Now, this is a virtual private network, and you can actually log in and pretend to be from somewhere else in the world. Now, this is useful if you want to see country restricted material. For example, there's a football match going on that is restricted and you can't watch it online in the UK, but you can watch it online in Sweden. So you just go to the VPN and pretend you're in Malmo. Now, Opera has one of these built in. In fact, Opera is increasingly getting more and more things built into its browser, so they are one to watch. Now, Mozilla as well, they have their own VPN that you do have to pay for. But again, it's something you want to be keeping tabs on. Make sure you subscribe and you'll receive a notification when there's a new video on the channel. Please like and share this video. It helps spread the word. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And until next time, stay safe online.